Ihr habt mich verurteilt. Aber ihr habt gelernt, mit meinen Augen zu sehen.
Can a person be erased when the cinematic language she created still shapes our visual culture today? Leni Riefenstahl's films belong to the past. Her influence does not. Leni Riefenstahl's place in film history did not begin with Hitler. In 1932, The Blue Light, her directorial debut, was completed. In it, Riefenstahl was at once the lead actress, director, co-writer, editor, and producer. She played Junta, a mountain recluse whom the villagers regarded as a witch and cast out from their community. The film did not foretell Riefenstahl's later fate, but the parallel is striking. Junta was reduced to a single dangerous label. Years later, Riefenstahl herself would be reduced to two words: Hitler's director. Behind that label, the dancer, actress, director, editor, and producer disappeared from view. A whole human being was compressed into a single political definition. Hitler did not teach her camera work or editing. Riefenstahl's visual style had already taken shape before they worked together. She did not invent low-angle shots, slow motion, or the moving camera. But a conductor does not invent the violin, either. Her greatness lay in the way she brought existing tools together in the service of a single, coherent vision. For Triumph of the Will, she directed 16 camera crews and more than 100 people. From more than 60 hours of footage, she shaped a film whose editing did not merely follow events. It built them into an increasingly powerful visual drama. Riefenstahl was the conductor of a visual orchestra. Cameras, light, architecture, human movement, music, and editing. These were her instruments. Riefenstahl's ability to fuse camera work, movement, and editing into a coherent visual drama found its fullest expression in Olympia. She did not film only the competition and its outcome. She filmed the tension before the start. Focused faces, straining muscles, exhaustion, failure, and moments of victory. The athlete was no longer simply a name on a results sheet. The athlete became a cinematic hero. A low camera angle made the human figure monumental. Slow motion turned movement into sculpture. A moving camera brought the viewer alongside the athlete. Editing transformed isolated moments into an emotional whole. Look at sports broadcasts today, commercials, concert footage, or the visual coverage of major political events. You will not see Riefenstahl's films there, but you will see the same visual logic, heroizing the body, turning crowds into patterns, separating a leader from the mass, and binding image to music and rhythm. Her films belong to the past. Her creative vision still shapes visual culture today. Riefenstahl was shaped by an era that raised her to extraordinary heights. Her work was commissioned, honored, and admired. Her talent was in demand. When that era collapsed, everything around her changed. Recognition turned into rejection. The name that had opened doors began to close them. After the war, Riefenstahl did not disappear from film history. What disappeared was the whole picture of her. Dancer, actress, director, editor, photographer, and filmmaker in later life, all reduced to a single label: Hitler's director. Her final feature film, Tiefland, reached cinemas in 1954. Over the next 17 years, only a few of her planned projects came to fruition. A film about Penthesilea, Queen of the Amazons, was never made. The reason was not a loss of talent. Her name had become a burden to financiers, institutions, and the public. Riefenstahl's choices can be condemned. But can her talent, her work, and her influence be erased along with them? Moral judgment and the assessment of artistic greatness are not the same thing. After the war, Riefenstahl's creative career was, in effect, declared over. She refused to accept that verdict. She turned to photography, went to Africa, learned new tools, and searched for new worlds. At 71, she decided to learn to dive. To obtain a diving certificate, she claimed to be 20 years younger than she really was. It was not vanity. It was a passport to a world she wanted to see through a camera. She was still diving only months before her 100th birthday. As she approached her 100th birthday, she completed Impression and Unterwasser, her first new film after a 48-year break. The public may have declared her directing career over. She did not. The story of Leni Riefenstahl does not ask whether her choices were insignificant. They were not. The question is whether a person must remain forever trapped inside the most controversial chapter of their life. She was a dancer, actress, director, editor, producer, photographer, and underwater filmmaker. She could be rejected. Her films could be set aside. Her name could be reduced to a single accusation. Her answer was not a speech in her own defense. It was work. She kept learning. She discovered new worlds. She continued to create. The story of Leni Riefenstahl is not only about the past. Even today, a single political, ideological, or moral label can reduce an entire human being to a single sentence. In her case, the question is not whether her choices should be judged. They should. The question is whether, alongside her mistakes and the responsibility she bore, we must also discard her talent, her work, and her influence. Labeling gives society quick moral clarity, but the price can be high. We lose the ability to distinguish responsibility from talent, a mistake from an entire life's work, and a human being from one historical role. When we lose the complexity of a person, we also lose the possibility of learning from their work. That is why this film was made. Not to justify Riefenstahl, but to refuse to see people only through a single label. A human being was reduced to a single condemning label. The creator remained larger than the label.